Coming up on today's episode, I want to talk about Denver's path to Super Bowl 59, along with my own personal playoff predictions for the AFC and the NFC. Welcome on into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. Let's revisit the playoff picture for both sides. We've got Denver traveling to Buffalo, Pittsburgh going to Baltimore, Chargers going to Houston, with the Chiefs sitting on their couch and watching. So, from the AFC side of things here, when it comes to what's an ideal path for the Broncos, chaos. I mean, it's Pittsburgh knocking off the Ravens. It's the Chargers losing to the Texans, because if they came down to it, I'd much rather face the Texans rather than the Chargers, since LA swept Denver, although it is hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, but I would prefer to play the Texans over the Chargers. So when it comes to, hey, what's the best path for the Broncos when watching games this weekend, don't get too fixated on the NFC just yet. I'd say on Saturday night, root like hell for the Steelers, because I'd much rather face Pittsburgh from a matchup perspective than Baltimore after what happened the first time those two teams played in the Charm City. So that's the AFC playoff picture. NFC, we've got the Packers and Eagles with potentially both teams playing backups. Jordan Love left Week 18 with an elbow injury, and Jalen Hurts, as I filmed this during our live show on Tuesday afternoon, is still in concussion protocol. You've got the Commanders' first-year head coach Dan Quinn and rookie Jaden Daniels going to Baker and the Bucks, and then the Vikings, a 14-win team as a wild card, going to LA and playing Matthew Stafford and the red-hot Rams. So when it comes to rooting guide for that side for matchups that favor the Broncos more so than others, the Eagles are a team I don't want any part of right now, although if they don't have Jalen Hurts, that's going to take a lot of the wind out of their sails. I'm not really all that threatened by the Packers or the Commanders from a matchup standpoint. I mean, Green Bay, winless in the division this year. I won't say that they are a candy-ass team, but not winless, sorry. 1-5 in the NFC North this year. They beat the Bears in Chicago after they blocked a field goal similar to the Broncos and Chiefs. So when it comes to NFC rooting matchup, obviously the Lions being a juggernaut are someone you'd like to see knocked out a little bit on the earlier side, because I'd much rather avoid them in New Orleans. But let's not get too deep on the NFC side of things. We have to take care of business in the AFC first. So with that being said, let's now turn our attention to predictions for the Wildcard Round and then for the Divisional Round. Starting with the AFC, Bills versus Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos because I do think from a matchup standpoint, they match up very well with the Bills. The engine for Buffalo this year has been their offense, and the Broncos defense is slept on. Sure, a bit of a rough December, but a very nice building off game against the Chiefs backups, shutting them out, kind of re-energizing them, giving them their confidence, giving them their swagger back, because sometimes it's all it takes. It's a little bit of a mental thing, and I think if Denver's defense can just slow down Buffalo's offense, Bo Nix in the offense, which is, I'd say, an average offense, not one of the best, but far from one of the worst, if they can keep this a not low-scoring game, but just not a shootout, then Bo Nix in the offense going into the fourth quarter should have a chance. And if that's the case, give me Sean Payton over Sean McDermott. Moving on to the next matchup, Ravens-Steelers. It's ideal for Denver if the Steelers win, but I think the Ravens are ultimately going to honestly beat the crap out of Pittsburgh. Steelers have lost 4 games in a row. They are losing an identity on offense, and I think the Ravens, while last year, all-time, choke job we'll call it, 1 seed, best chance of the Chiefs they're going to get, and they can't finish them off because they don't run the football. Hopefully they learn from their mistakes, and I like the Ravens by a lot in this game. Texans-Chargers, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think the Texans are frauds. I think they have greatly benefited from playing in a weak AFC South, and there is not a whole lot about them that really threatens me. C.J. Stroud, major regression year for him. Some good pieces on defense. Derek Stingley, Danielle Hunter, D'Amico Ryans as a coach does a fantastic job. But by and large, give me Harbaugh and the Chargers on the road. So that's the AFC side of things. The NFC side of things, in case you're wondering, Eagles, Packers. I like the Eagles in this one. Jalen Hurts or not, I feel like Saquon in that ground game can do just enough to help the Eagles get by with the backup who, by the way, Tanner McKee played pretty well since coming in for a banged-up Kenny Pickett and Jalen Hurts. Buccaneers, Commanders, I went back and forth on this one. This is honestly after, probably the most unconfident I am in any of the matchups this weekend. I'm going to go with the Bucs, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a similar storyline of last year of C.J. Stroud, second overall pick, wins a playoff game. Jaden Daniels, second overall pick, wins a playoff game. So I'll go with the Bucs, but if I had to rank them in terms of confidence, this is towards the bottom. Rams, Vikings, I'm going to go with the Rams. I feel like the Vikings, while they can't be frauds at 14-3, I still like the way LA has been playing recently. It's not a vastly improved home field advantage. Both teams play indoors, so it's not like either one is out of their element. But I like the Rams to take care of business with the way they've been playing lately. Matthew Stafford, postseason experience versus Sam Darnold. Give me LA. Now give me your wild card upset. Since the expansion to 7 teams, a 7 or 6 seed has won every single year since 2020. So who's it going to be in 2024? Let me know in the comment section below. I've got the Broncos as a 7 seed winning, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. Now, before we get on to the rest of my predictions, I do have to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Today's show is made possible thanks to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Basketball season is heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. They also offer Venmo and MasterCard for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information, like I said, is down below. Pick more, pick less. Over at Prize Picks, run your game. Moving on to the divisional round now. Let's start with Chiefs hosting the Broncos. I'm going to be honest with you guys here. I've got the Chiefs winning. I think it's an incredible season for Denver. Whether they win in Buffalo or not, it's a huge accomplishment to get to the postseason in Bo Nix's first year. But I think we might be biting off a little bit more than we can chew with knocking off Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes all in Nix's rookie season. But I do think it serves as a good reminder that the Chiefs are no longer the only team to compete with in the AFC West, and the Broncos are here to stay. So, unfortunately, I wish I could just be a homer and put my blinders on and pick the Broncos to win every single game, but I don't think that'd be honest and truthful with you guys. So, when that season comes, believe me, I will. But for now, I'm sticking with the home Chiefs. Then the Chargers-Ravens game. I've got Baltimore taking care of business here. Do yourself a favor right now. Unless you're driving, close your eyes and try and picture those candy-ass blue uniforms beating the black and purple in Baltimore. No chance. Uniforms alone in January. Ravens are winning this game. Moving on to the NFC now. I have Lions versus the Rams after the Rams beat the number 5 seeded Vikings and the Lions return from their bye week with some extra guys back, and I think what's going to be a hopefully fun Matthew Stafford return to Detroit yet again. The Lions win yet again. I just think the Lions are too much to overcome with offensively. Jared Goff is playing lights-out football. Amon-Ra St. Brown is unguardable. Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic. And the goal is for them to get David Montgomery back for this game, their offensive line. There's too much to like for Detroit to pass on. I've got the Lions taking care of business as the 1 seed at home. 2-seeded Eagles versus the 3-seeded Buccaneers. We've had this matchup a couple of times now in the postseason, last year and in 2021, but I got the Eagles winning this one for the first time since 2020. ultimately, whether Jalen Hurts is 100% by this point or not, Saquon Barkley and that ground game is going to be too tough to slow down for Tampa Bay. So I like the Eagles to beat the Buccaneers. At home, Tampa traveling to Philadelphia in late January. Everything points Philly, so I'm just going to go chalk here and take the favorites across the board after some chaos in the first round. Now, as for who wins in the AFC and NFC matchups here, Chiefs, Ravens, and then Eagles, Lions. I've got the Lions advancing over Philadelphia, and I got the Ravens. Finally, someone beats the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Lamar Jackson does it in Arrowhead, setting up a Baltimore-Detroit Super Bowl, and ultimately, I am picking the Ravens to win. The biggest knock on Baltimore early on this season was their defense stinks. Well, guess what? Their defense no longer stinks. It looks like the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed defense, or at least as you could possibly get to that, as close you possibly get to that. Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level, and that to me just seems like too much for the Lions, who are a juggernaut themselves, to slow down given all the injuries Detroit has sustained, which is a bummer for Lions fans because they're probably going to lose their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator. This was the season to win it all, and injuries completely derailed it. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Who do you think is going to win the Soupy? Let me know in the comment section below who you've got winning it all in New Orleans in February. I'm going with the Ravens. That will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you liked our content, make sure to like the video. That does go a long way to boost the channel, and subscribe too if you haven't already.